Welcome to the Sprayed Concrete Lining Tunnelling Walkthrough, or SCL for short. SCL is used as a method to provide a waterproof primary and secondary support lining to tunnels being excavated incrementally. Here, you can see some activities associated with the SCL spraying cycle in an enclosed area. SCL can be used to create very complicated shapes and junctions, cavernous underground spaces, and shorter lengths of tunnels in varying geological conditions. This walkthrough consists of a single scene. Have a good look around to check out the activities that are taking place here. Pressure systems, concrete pumping and spraying. As you can see, the main activity taking place here is concrete being sprayed by an SCL robot to form part of the SCL tunnel. The SCL robot is the plant and equipment that is used to apply the sprayed concrete lining. Always take sensible precautions if you are in the vicinity when the robot is in operation. You should always be aware of the position of the sprayer arm. This robotic equipment must only be operated by trained, competent and authorised personnel. The operator here is using a remote control to manipulate the sprayer arm. Remote operation is a great way of keeping people safe during spraying activities because it allows for distance between the operator and the area being sprayed. The SCL robot is heavily articulated to simplify the process of applying the lining. This also improves the quality of the finished layer. Using the robot also increases the height which the operator can spray. You can see the robot has a number of spotlights to illuminate the area where the operator is spraying. The concrete spray coming from the nozzle at the end of the sprayer arm is produced by mixing the concrete being pumped to the robot through the black flexible hose, the hose closest to the operator, with compressed air and a chemical accelerant. The high-pressure compressed air is being fed to the SCL robot through the yellow hoses connected at the rear of the machine. The accelerant is used to ensure the sprayed concrete achieves the required early strength following application. Achieving early strength quickly also helps the concrete adhere to the exposed ground, and this provides rapid support for the excavated ground. Here, concrete is being delivered to the robot from a concrete pump at another location. Historically, concrete pumping and the subsequent blowing out of residual concrete from pumping lines has caused several serious incidents. Pumping and cleaning operations both involve working near pipes and equipment under pressure. The main inherent hazard is impact from the sudden uncontrolled release of concrete or compressed air during the cleaning out operation. To minimise the risks when working with pressurised systems, it is imperative that safe systems of work are strictly followed. The safe completion of related activities is heavily reliant on the selection and training of operators who need to be able to identify and react safely to any abnormalities during the works. Exclusion zone management. SCL activities both during the excavation and spraying cycles are inherently hazardous. To minimise these inherent hazards, it is important to have a consistent application of control measures for the management of exclusion and restricted access zones around active working areas in tunnels employing SCL methodology. A restricted access zone is an area in the tunnel where access is permitted for defined and authorised personnel only, such as the area you are viewing from. Falling ground, or falls of immature or green concrete close to the working face within SCL tunnels is a major risk to personnel working in the area, and the main mitigation measure to prevent injury is the use of exclusion zones for high-risk areas. An exclusion zone is a zone defined in the tunnel where no person can enter, such as the newly excavated area being sprayed here by the yellow chain in front of the SCL robot. There should always be a physical barrier between the exclusion zone and the restricted access zone. Here, a chain has been used to mark the exclusion zone. Consider how better signage and additional demarcation could be used to make the exclusion zone more visible. Occupational health. SCL and associated excavation activities can release harmful particles of dust into the air. Exposure to silica and other dust can lead to chronic, life-limiting lung diseases. It is essential that operatives always correctly wear respiratory protective equipment, or RPE. Everyone wearing respiratory protective equipment requires a face-fit test. Note here that both operatives are wearing suitable RPE. If you look above you, you will see two large flexible ducts fixed at height. This is ventilation ducting. Due to the high levels of dust created during the SCL activities, ventilation is extremely important. Adequate ventilation during spraying activities is essential to help prevent exposure to harmful silica particles. Make sure that your area of work has adequate ventilation, including de-dusting. If the ventilation is not adequate, work should stop until suitable ventilation is established. Fresh air supply and extraction systems should be as close to the spraying activity as possible. You will note from the background noise in this location that excessive noise is another hazard associated with SCL activities. Noise is intensified here due to the enclosed nature of the location and the number of simultaneous operations being carried out, such as concrete spraying and the noise produced by the ventilation systems and plant being used. Hearing protection zones must be established in areas with excessive noise levels, and hearing protection must be worn. Because the concrete pump supplying concrete to the SCL robot is in another location in the tunnel, radio headsets and/or a traffic light system should be used for communication purposes between the sprayer and pump operator during the spraying cycle. Access and egress. Check out the area below your feet and towards the base of the ladder. The ladder provides the means of access into and egress from this location. Poorly maintained walking routes can lead to slips, trips, and falls. When moving along the walkways in the tunnel, be aware of the following underfoot conditions: obstacles, lumps of spoil or concrete, surface water, changes in level, and other potential trip hazards. Cables and hoses can also contribute to slips, trips, and falls. Where possible, cables and hoses should be kept off the ground, and ideally routed above head height where practicable. This will also reduce the potential of hoses being damaged. It is also good practice to ensure hoses and cables are properly identified with regards to what they are carrying and are adequately marked in relation to pressure rating and flow direction. Congratulations! You have now reached the end of the SCL walkthrough. Return to the main menu to access the other walkthroughs of different tunnelling methods.